Hello, trivia friends. Welcome to tonight's Wise Owls Pub Quiz online virtual at home pandemic 2021 edition. It is January 21st, and I hope you're all ready for some questions. For those of you who have not played before, let me give you a quick rundown of some rules. You can have up to 4 people on your team. Also important to think up an interesting trivia team name, key part of any pub quiz. So 4 people on your team. You can communicate with those people however you wish. So if you want to FaceTime with them, or create a special Zoom meeting, or Microsoft Teams, or if you all live in the same household, if you're part of the same bubble, that works too. You could phone people old-fashioned style. You could play with your neighbors and communicate back and forth over the fence by keeping 6 to 8 feet apart. Anything like that. Communicate with your team members how you wish. The key is, despite using online technology to watch the pub quiz, answer the pub quiz, communicate with your fellow team members, do not use said technologies to look up the answers, because that's just sad. And I don't want you, to be a sad trivia person who cheats and looks up answers, because boo to that. Yes, so 4 people to a team, communicate how you wish. There should be a link in the video notes to the form for the first round. I'm going to try to put it in the live chat as well. Sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. I've just thrown it in there. We'll see if it actually shows up. It didn't last month, but it did the months prior. So, YouTube gonna YouTube. So the link is there. If somebody can let me know in the chat if that Google form link has shown up, that would be great. Otherwise, I did put it into the video comments before going live. So hopefully it is there. Yeah, it looks like it's there. Excellent. Thank you for getting back to me, Emma and Jane. So that should be the form for round 1. When you finish the form for round 1 and submit it, it should pop up with a link to form 2, form 3. If, however, you need me to drop those in the chat, just let me know and I can do that. So the online edition of the Wise Owls Pub Quiz is a spin-off of the real-life Wise Owls Pub Quiz, which is a partnered program between us, the Lethbridge Public Library, and the very lovely Owl Acoustic Lounge in scenic downtown Lethbridge. The Owl, I don't believe, is yet open in their shiny new location. That's the big news for those who haven't, twigged onto that yet. The Owl has moved across the street and down about 3/4 of a block, I would say, to the east. So it's closer to the SAG. It's closer to kind of the core of downtown. Well, they were basically in the core of downtown anyhow. Anyhow, new location, opening soon. No date set as of yet. But once they are open again, you will be able to get in touch with them for takeout. I would encourage you to do it tonight, only I don't believe their kitchen/restaurant/any part of them is open at the moment. But once they are, you go to them, grab a burger, grab some chicky tenders, fries, very good fries, especially when the fries are poutined. So they are our regular partners, and we will be back with them when we are able to. But for now, online virtually hosting the Wise Owls Pub Quiz here from my living room, and still, thankfully, with all of you. So welcome to tonight's pub quiz for January of 2021. Let's get going with some questions. So we start, as we always do, with the month in which we find ourselves, this month being January. So some January questions. January question number 1. In January of 1900, this man got out of Siberian exile. In January of 1918, he abolished Russia's assembly and established a dictatorship. So big month for that dude, January. In January 1900, this man got out of Siberian exile. Then in January of 1918, he abolished Russia's assembly and established a dictatorship. Name that dude. And I will try to pace things so that I'm not going too fast with all of the questions and whatnot. But if you do find that I'm going too quickly from one question to another, just let me know. I can slow things down. I can try to do more patter. It's weird doing patter without an audience to, have a proper discourse with, but, I try. I try. All right, January question number two. If you were born during the first 20 days of January, which astrological sign would you be? So if you're born from January 1st through about January 20th, which astrological sign would you be? Because there are kind of two astrological signs for January. Which is the first of those two? Excellent. It looks like we got a nice little crowd joining us this evening. As always, if you have any questions, toss them into the chat. I will do my best to answer them. I'm guessing you're all playing from home because, during certain times you were able to play virtually, but still at the Owl. But for now, we're at home, we're doing trivia, and life is not so bad. All right, question number 3 for the January category. In 1999, New Hampshire was the last US state to make which January event a paid state holiday? So in 1999, New Hampshire became the final US state to make which January event a paid state holiday? So a special day in January, which one? And who would have thought that New Hampshire would be something, at the last state to do something? They were holdouts, but they made it in 1999. All right, on to question number 4 of the January category. On January 10th of 1931, the then Prince of Wales met this American woman, and they were married 6 years later. So back in 1931, on January 10th, the Prince of Wales at that time met this American woman. They were married 6 years later, and it was just the talk of all the gossip back in those days. It was quite the thing. So who was she? What was her name? And at the end of the round, if you need any of the questions repeated, do let me know and I can run some repeats as requested. Okay, on to number 5 of the January category. The lovely Gina Davis is celebrating her 65th birthday today. Who was Gina Davis's co-star in the film Thelma and Louise? Who starred with Gina Davis in the film Thelma and Louise? And, raising a glass, wishing a happy birthday to Gina Davis, who celebrates her birthday today. But for the question, we're looking for the name of her co-star in Thelma and Louise. And that brings us to the end of the January section. So if you need to hear any of the questions repeated, just let me know in the little chat box, which should be somewhere on your screen. For me, it's on the right-hand side of my screen. I don't know where it is for those of you watching. But if you would like a question repeated, do please let me know, and I will read it again for you. All right, numbers 1 and 4. So number one, in January of 1900, this man got out of Siberian exile, and in January of 1918, he abolished Russia's assembly and established a dictatorship. So who was it? Who was I talking about? January of 1900, he got out of Siberian exile. In January 1918, he abolished Russia's assembly and established a dictatorship. So question 1. And question 4. On January 10th of 1931, the Prince of Wales met this American woman, and they were married 6 years after that. So who was the American woman who caused quite a scandal when she and the Prince of Wales met in 1931? And request for number 5. Gina Davis is celebrating her 65th birthday today. Who was her co-star in the film Thelma and Louise? There we go. Anybody else for a repeat? Hopefully I've hit all the repeats that you need for those. And for that, we will then go to our next category. I don't know if any of you watched, some news yesterday, but, Inauguration Day in the States, big deal, big pomp, much circumstance, and many very nicely designed coats. So a category about coats and outerwear, because it's also January and we all need coats and outerwear at this point of the year. It's just one of those things. So coats, question number 1. Name the British brand known for its rainy day gear that outfitted the 1911 South Pole expedition. So the British brand that made rainy day gear, so lots of coats, and were charged with outfitting the 1911 South Pole expedition. It's a famous British coat maker. All right, on to coat question number 2. Now, this term means any sort of shorter sport coat, but originally it meant a crimson colored coat and was introduced in Great Britain in 1890. So, which style of coat is that? So, now meaning any shorter sport coat. Which style of coat was originally crimson in color and introduced in Great Britain in 1890. So specific style of coat that now means any kind of shorter sport coat. And you can let me know in the comments if you had a favorite coat from yesterday's big outdoor event on the Washington Mall. I don't know if I'm partial to any in particular, but I liked that there was a lot of color in the coat choices that everybody seemed to make. All right, on to coat question number 3. Name the 1965 film starring Omar Sharif and Julie Christie that had a huge impact on fashion, including the popularization of the maxi coat. So name the 1965 film starring Omar Sharif and Julie Christie that had a huge impact on fashion, including the popularization of the maxi coat. Excellent. So it looks like some of our commenters love the, it wasn't quite purple for Michelle Obama. It was almost like it's a little more red than a traditional purple, but it was gorgeous. And yes, Kamala's nieces. are bringing some fashion, which is delightful. There's sparkle. Can always use more sparkle. All right, on to coat question number 4. Number 4. A cashmere coat is a good warm weather, or sorry, it's a good cold weather wrapper. Don't wear your cashmere in warm weather. It'll be too much. I'll start again. A cashmere coat is a good cold weather wrapper. From which animal do we get cashmere fiber? So if you're making a cashmere coat, from which animal will you be getting that cashmere? Cashmere coats being, nice and very, very posh sort of level of a nice dressy winter coat. So from which animal does cashmere come from? Oh, and we've got a vote for Bernie's coat as well, which was possibly the most practical of the inauguration day coats. That is for sure. Not, a very huge standout, but definitely toasty. Definitely toasty. And somebody voting for the Canadian coat of arms as their favorite coat. All right, on to number 5, the last coat question of this section. Name the type of coat whose British name is the same as that of a fruit or a computer. Name the type of coat, a British coat, that has the same name as a computer or a fruit. So with the online version of this Wise Owls pub quiz, there are kind of 3 categories or 3 themes per section and 3 sections per quiz. So 9 sections of questions total. And as always, once I get to the end of a section, let me know if you need anything repeated. So any repeats from the coat category, let me know in the comments and I'll read them out again. Or, 3. I was going to say, or if we're all, on top of the code questions, I won't, but no, requests for number 3. So number 3, name the 1965 film that starred Omar Sharif and Julie Christie, and it had a huge impact on fashion, including the popularization of the maxi coat. So the big, long coat. I was looking for the name of that 1965 film for question number 3. And it looks like that was perhaps the only request for a repeat. So from coats and outerwear, this isn't just for Angela, but we're now going to go to coats of arms. So coats of arms now, because I like that kind of connection between the 2 categories. So coats of arms. Questions about those fancy, fancy coats of arms. So coats of arms, question number 1. Which animal is at the center of the coat of arms for the Ivory Coast? So which animal features at the very center of the coat of arms, unsurprisingly, of the Ivory Coast? Name that animal. Trying to think through my categories and whether this is as close as we get to a geography category, I think this month, is coats of arms. All right, so coats of arms, question number 2. Which country found next to France has the phrase "Union fait la force," or "unity makes strength," as a part of its coat of arms? So which country which is found next to France on a map, uses the phrase l'union fait la force, or unity makes strength, on its coat of arms? Sorry, moving the phone so it doesn't quite buzz on the camera there. All right, question number 3 for coats of arms. Australia's coat of arms features 2 animals, both of which do not like to move backwards. One of these is a kangaroo. Which is the other? So Australia's coat of arms features 2 animals, both of which do not like to move backwards. It's supposed to be a symbol of, the country being forward moving and forward thinking. One of these 2 animals is the kangaroo. Which is the other animal? It's a bird. Which is the other? A bird that you would find on Australia's coat of arms. I'm now trying to remember what Canada's looks like and what we have on ours. Because, a kangaroo is pretty cool. Though I don't think Australia could not put a kangaroo if they were picking animals for a coat of arms. It would, seem a little off if they didn't have a kangaroo. Yeah. All right, on to number 4 for our coat of arms question or section. Number 4, this island nation off the east coast of Africa, excuse me, this island nation off the east coast of Africa has just 1 shell on its coat of arms, and it belongs to a turtle. Which country is that? The island nation off the east coast of Africa that has just 1 shell on its coat of arms, the shell of a turtle. All right, and our last question for the first round of the quiz and the last section of the first round of the quiz. Coat of arms question number 5. Mexico's coat of arms features a type of cactus. By what other name is the nopal cactus known? Nopal. Mexico's coat of arms features a type of cactus. It's the nopal, Nopal. By what other name is this type of cactus known? And with that being question number 5 of coats of arms, let me know which of those you need to hear again. Drop a number into the chat, and I will repeat questions as needed. If you're all finished and satisfied with your answers for round 1, hit the submit button at the bottom of the form. That will populate your answers to a spreadsheet so that I can figure out scores for the first part. And there should be a link then once you've hit submit that will take you to a form for the second form for the quiz. All right, request for number 2 for coats of arms. So number 2 for this part, which country that is found next to France has the phrase l'union fait la force, or unity makes strength, on its coat of arms? Which country would that be? All right, and then once, like I said, you are done with your answers, hit that submit button. I'm going to pop over to another spot in the room and do some math and figure out where you all rank in the first section. So normally I would say talk amongst yourselves. I guess you could talk amongst yourselves in the text chat if you wanted to, or take this time to go, refresh a beverage, or refresh yourselves, or get a new snack, or just get more snacks. Because trivia, it's really about the snacks. See you in a few. All right, I am back. I have some scores. Thank you to all of you for bearing with while I figured out the math behind the scores. So I'm going to start by giving you the correct answers for the first round, and then we'll go on to some thirds-ish scores. Third way? I don't know. I was trying to figure out how to say halfway, but with thirds. Anywho, January section. The Russian dude, Lenin. Number 2, if you're born at the start of January, you're a Capricorn. Number 3 was Martin Luther King Day. Number 4, Wallace Simpson was the American lady. And number 5, Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon were in Thelma and Louise. For coats now, number 1, the British brand that outfitted the South Pole expedition was Burberry. The short sport coat is a blazer. They all were red to begin with. The 1965 film was Dr. Zhivago. Number 4, cashmere comes from goats, the cashmere goat. And number 5, the British coat with the same name as a fruit or a computer is a Macintosh or Mac. Coats of arms now. The animal at the center of the Ivory Coast coat of arms is an elephant. The country next to France is Belgium. Australia's coat of arms has a kangaroo and an emu. The island nation off the east coast of Africa is the Seychelles. That's why shell was in the question, because I was trying to be tricksy. Number 5, Mexico's coat of arms features a prickly pear, which is another name for the nopal. All right, now some scores, which I know you're all eagerly awaiting. Because they're not in order, this is where I have to think again. All right, so lowest scores to highest scores. 7 points to both No Name and Miller Time. 8 points to the Pink Wits. 9 points to War of the Quizzers. 10 points to the Barley Moets. 11 points to both Nerds of a Feather and You're a Quizzard Harry. And the COVID survivors are in the lead with 15 points. All right, so that's where things stand going into the second round, where, almost anything could probably happen. All right. So we're going to kick off the second round with houseplants. Because next Wednesday, I believe, I think the 27th, the library is kicking off a new program called YQL Meets. And the idea is we are going to introduce you to various cool local businesses and local business owners in the city. And the first of those is Hannah, who runs the Sill and the Soil, the cute little plant shop downtown. So Hannah's going to teach us all about how to take care of our house plants and really get them thriving, even though it's the depths of winter. So yes, check out the library's website for more information about that. Our website is lethlib.ca, and I believe that will be via Zoom. But again, check the website. The website knows for sure. So, house plants question number 1. For all of these, I'm going to be giving you kind of a description of a plant, and you are hopefully going to be able to name the plant that I'm describing. So we'll see. If you've picked up, houseplant nurturing as a hobby during the pandemic, maybe this is the category for you. All right, question number 1. These plants have long, slender leaves and are one of the most common hanging plants. These plants have long, slender leaves, sometimes all green, sometimes white and green striped, and they are one of the most common hanging plants. And they do tend to take over if you don't keep them trimmed back. They send out little babies. So name that houseplant. All right, number two. So again, I'm going to give you a plant description, and you are hopefully going to name that plant. So plant number 2 is a plant with tall, straight-standing leaves And it was called a mother-in-law's tongue back in the day. What is it more often called now? So looking for a plant with tall, straight-standing leaves. A mother-in-law's tongue is now more often called what type of plant? I have a feeling there was, a petition from all the mothers-in-law to change the name of the plant. So now it's known as something else. It's a very popular and very easy to grow and propagate sort of houseplant that's very tall, or can be very tall, but it's tall, straight standing leaves. Which houseplant is that? All right, number 3 now for houseplants. This elegant plant features lightly fragranced, creamy white flowers among a bed of glossy, dark green foliage. So, what is the name of the plant that features lightly fragranced, creamy white flowers among a bed of glossy, dark green foliage? I've picked up, I think, one, looking around now. I think I've only picked up one additional houseplant since last year, but I had a fair number before that. They're all very happy. I think my houseplants seem to actually like this time of year. I'm not totally certain why, but they seem very happy right now. All right, houseplant question number 4. A star of the Instagram scene, these large, stunning plants have huge violin-shaped leaves. What are they called? The very Instagram-worthy plants that have big, giant, violin-shaped leaves. They're apparently a bit fussy to grow, but if you can get them to grow, they do look very cool. And, will make your Instagram house photos look just that much cooler. Okay, last houseplant question. In nature, plants which are epiphytes, 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 grow on other plants, usually tree branches, so they do not need any soil to develop. At home, you can perch them pretty much anywhere. What are these little plants called in plant shops? So when they grow in the wild, plants that are epiphytes are plants that grow on other plants without the need for soil. At home, you can perch these plants pretty much on anything, and they'll be pretty happy. What are these little soil-free plants called? And if you need to hear any houseplant repeats, do let me know in the comments section. I like that somebody is voting for potatoes as an answer. I mean, it could be an answer. I'm not saying it's not an answer, but not usually something you're going to find labeled as a houseplant. Numbers 2 and 3. Number 2 is a plant with tall, straight standing leaves. A mother-in-law's tongue is now more often called what plant? So tall, straight standing leaves. And it used to be called a mother-in-law's tongue. And now it's called something else. And number 3 is an elegant plant that features lightly fragranced, creamy white flowers among a bed of glossy, dark green foliage. So very, very elegant, very pretty sort of floral plant that you can grow with creamy, creamy white flowers. All right, I think we're good then for repeats. All right, so from House plants, we are going to go to tea because January is officially hot tea month, which makes sense. January is the month when you need, a nice maybe caffeine kick from some tea and also, something warm to put your hands around and just, get all toasty like. So, tea question number 1. Which tea gets its distinctive flavor from being smoked over a fire? So, which tea gets its distinctive flavor from having the tea leaves be smoked over a fire? So, it's got a really smoky, deep taste. What is the name of that tea? I have a blend of this from, I think, from Murchie's. So it's this tea and some other stuff, but it's called Baker Street Blend. And so it has the smokiness of this tea and then somehow kind of manages to taste like scotch, but in tea form. It's quite good. But we're looking for the name of the type of tea that gets its distinctive flavor from being smoked over a fire. Name that tea. All right, on to number 2 of tea. Sometimes called popcorn tea, which tea is a popular drink in Japan? So sometimes called popcorn tea, which tea is a popular drink in Japan and also is often found at sushi restaurants? Name that tea. They're not all name that tea questions, but the first 2 were. You can also let me know your favorite type of tea in the live chat. Not that you get points for that, just, it's a nice bit of conversation. What's your favorite tea? How do you like to drink it? Are you planning on celebrating National Hot Tea Month now that it's January? I mean, it's been January for a while, but now that you know that it is Hot Tea Month, are you going to celebrate? Oh, what if the tea is an answer? That's a good point. But I think you're safe. I think you're safe. I mean, if it's one of the first 2 and you think it's an answer, you can lie about your favorite. You can put your second favorite type of tea that you don't think is an answer. All right, question number 3 for tea. In what year did the Boston Tea Party take place? See, I told you they wouldn't all be named that teas. In what year did the Boston Tea Party take place? The Boston Tea Party, in which year did it take place? That was number 3. And on to number 4 for the hot tea category. What is the name of the citrus that flavors Earl Grey teas? So what is the name of the specific citrus that flavors Earl Grey tea? Another one that's not a name that tea. So for number 4, name the citrus that flavors Earl Grey tea. All right, and on to our last tea question, the last one for this section. Number 5, in which country are tea leaves boiled with butter and salt before serving? So in which country do they make tea by boiling the tea leaves with butter and salt before they serve it? It's called butter tea. But where does it come from? Which country? And if you need to hear a tea question again, do please let me know in the chat, and I can go back and repeat any that you need to hear once more. Any tea repeats. Second brewings, if you will. Number 5. So number 5 was, in which country are tea leaves boiled with butter and salt before being served as butter tea? So name the country for number 5. All right, that might be the only repeat for the tea category. Excellent, excellent. And that's going to bring us to the next, the third one for the second round, which is a YA fantasy book category. Again, because there's a library program that I'm going to tie this into. On February 2nd, local author Emily Victoria will be launching her book, not at the library because we're not quite there yet, but with the library, in that we will be hosting a virtual book launch with Emily on February 2nd in the evening. Her book is called This Golden Flame. It's out, like I said, on February 2nd, and you can find out more on the website. It's a YA fantasy, a teen fantasy novel. It's a standalone, so you don't have to worry about getting sucked into a series. And so, in honor of Emily's book launch, next week, I guess, I thought I would give you some descriptions of YA fantasy books, and you are going to give me the name of the book. So you're going to give me each answer for this category is a book title. I will give you a description. You will give me the title. Book description number 1. Ged was the greatest sorcerer in all the land, but once he was called Sparrowhawk, a reckless youth hungry for power and knowledge, who tampered with long-held secrets and loosed a terrible shadow upon the world. This is the tale of his testing, how he mastered the mighty words of power, tamed an ancient dragon, and crossed death's threshold to restore the balance. So name that YA fantasy. Ged was the greatest sorcerer in all the land, but once he was called Sparrowhawk, a reckless youth hungry for power and knowledge, who tampered with long-held secrets and loosed a terrible shadow upon the world. This is the tale of his testing, how he mastered the mighty words of power, tamed an ancient dragon, and crossed death's threshold to restore the balance. Again, looking for the title of the book. Question number 2, or description, I guess, number 2. Actually, I'll give you guys a little bit more time. I feel like it was a long time, but that was just because I was reading a lot of words, I think. So again, these are all YA fantasy novels, so teen fantasy novels. Available at the Lethbridge Public Library. We should have all of these in our collection. All right, number 2. The main character is unfortunately a girl, which means she can't become a knight, even though that's what she knows she is destined to be. After all, she craves the adventures and can fight like hell. One day, she hatches a plan with her twin brother. Tom will go to the convent to learn magic, and she will travel to the castle to become a page in the king's court. So again, this main character is unfortunately a girl, which means that she can't become a knight, even though it's what she knows she is destined to be. After all, she craves adventures and can fight like hell. One day, she hatches a plan with her twin brother. Tom will go to the convent to learn magic, and she will travel to the castle to become a page in the king's court. What is the name of that book? I will give you a hint. It is on the bookshelf behind me, but I'm pretty sure they're too blurry and or small for you to be able to read any of the titles. But it is on my shelves. Okay, on to number 3 for YA novels. In this world, some people are born with rare abilities and are discernible by their mismatched eyes. Katsa is such a person, and it just so happens that she is graced with talent for killing. Under the service of the king, she murders and tortures her way across the 7 kingdoms. But then, Prince Po walks into her land one day with mismatched eyes, one silver and the other gold. He upends everything with truth that even Katsa cannot slay. Once again, number 3. In this world, some people are born with rare abilities and are discernible by their mismatched eyes. Katsa is one such person, and it just so happens that she's graced with the talent for killing. Under the service of the king, she murders and tortures her way across 7 kingdoms. But then Prince Po walks into her land one day with mismatched eyes, and he upends everything with a truth that even Katsa cannot slay. So that was number 3. Number 4. Number 4 was originally intended as an enigmatic picture book, but ended up being a well-woven combination of writing and found photographs. The narrative follows a teenage boy named Jacob, who's always had a vivid imagination and a penchant for stories, as he discovers the strange young inhabitants of his grandfather's old house in Wales. The children living there are not just peculiar, but entrenched in danger. What is the source of this danger? Is it the surroundings or the children themselves? The only way for Jacob to find out is to wade further into the mystery. So again, number 4, book number 4, was originally intended as an enigmatic picture book and ended up being a well-woven combination of writing and found photographs. The narrative follows a teenage boy named Jacob, who's always had a vivid imagination and a penchant for stories as he discovers the young, strange inhabitants of his grandfather's old house in Wales. The children living there are not just peculiar, but entrenched in danger. What is the source of this danger? Is it the surroundings or the children themselves? The only way for Jacob to find out is to wade further into the mystery. What is the title of that book? Book number 4. Do a section with long descriptions, she said. It'll be fun, she said. Okay, number 5. Book number 5. When Zélie Adebola's mother was killed, all the magic of her world disappeared, literally. For Zélie's mother was a magi, one with unique magical abilities, and she, along with the countless other magi, were murdered by the tyrant King Saran in his quest to control all of the Orisha. As young Zélie grows, she feels the mystical power pulsing in her blood and realizes her destiny to take back her land and restore its magic, no matter the sacrifice. So the final one, number 5. When Zélie Adebola's mother was killed, all the magic of her world disappeared, literally. Zélie's mother was a magi, one with unique magical abilities, and she, along with the countless other magi, were murdered by the tyrant king in his quest to control all of the Orisha. As young Zélie grows, she feels the mystical power pulsing in her blood and realizes her destiny to take back her land and restore its magic, no matter the sacrifice. And now, if you would like to let me know if you need to hear any of those once more, I can reread, the giant wall of text that I have in front of me. Let me know which of those book descriptions you would like to hear again, because I have a feeling that you would like to hear at least one of them again. Possibly more. Who knows? Or, if you're not YA people, maybe you've just given up. Who knows? I think 2 of these are on my bookshelves, but only one is showing. Anybody prefer book repeats? Oh, maybe not. Maybe you've given up, or maybe you just know them all. Either way, it looks like we're okay without repeats on number 5. So once you are done with round 2, again, hit that submit button. You should get another link to form number 3, the form for the 3rd round of the quiz. I'm going to go do some more math, and I will be back in a moment with answers and scores. Alrighty, friends, I am back. I have numbers. Pretty sure I mathed it right. But I also have answers. So first off, some answers for the last couple of categories. Starting with house plants. The long, skinny leaf hanging plant is, of course, a spider plant. The tall, straight standing leaf plant is a snake plant. The flowered plant is a gardenia. The big fancy plant is a fiddle leaf fig. And the last one is an air plant or a tillandsia. Tea category now. The smoky tea is lapsang souchong. Popcorn tea is genmai cha. The Boston Tea Party was 1773. And Earl Grey is flavored with bergamot. And in Tibet, tea leaves are boiled with butter and salt to make butter tea. Cold place, rich tea, I guess is the idea. All right, the fantasy books now. The book about Ged, once known as Sparrowhawk, is a Wizard of Earthsea, which was written by Ursula K. Le Guin. You only had to have the title, but, you know, filling in blanks for those of you who need it. So yes, number 1 was A Wizard of Earthsea by Ursula K. Le Guin. Number 2 was Alana, the First Adventure by Tamora Pierce, which is just kind of right there. There we go, kind of over there on my bookcase. That was awkward. Number 3 was Graceling by Kristen Kashore, which is just above where you can see on my screen. Number 4 was Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. And the last one was Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. What was I going to tell you about one of these? Oh, Graceling, if you've read the trilogy, Graceling, Fire and Bitter Blue, there's actually a 4th one coming out, or that has just come out this week. Cannot remember the name of it. Cover is also blue. But yes, it came out first. It also came out this week, the 4th one, and it's by Kristen Kashore, and I'm looking forward to reading it, despite not being able to remember what it was called. All right, so that was the end of round 2. So an update to some scores at this point. All right, just kind of going from bottom to top numbers wise, with 8 points, we have the Pinkwits. 10 points, Miller Time. 13 points, War of the Quizzers. 14 points to No Name. 16 points to Nerds of a Feather. 17 points to the Barley Moments. 18 to You're a Quizzard, Harry. And still in the lead, 23 to COVID Survivors. All right, so that's where we stand, 2/3 of the way through. Let's see where we get after the last round. All right, the last round. Oh, actually, you know what? I got to grab a speaker and then I'll be right back, because I learned last couple of times if I don't have a bigger speaker for the phone from which I play the music, it's not quite loud enough. So talk amongst yourselves for another like 30 seconds. I will be right back with a speaker. All right, coming in from the opposite side this time. Okay, so I'm going to play you some audio samples, some songs, as it were, parts of songs, for this musical category. Someday I will be on top of the musical category. It's because when I do things at the Owl Acoustic Lounge, someone else, aka Steve, is there to run the music part of the music category for me. With this virtual one, it's all me, and I'm never quite on time with this. Okay. Da, da, da. Why was my playlist? Where would I be? Okay, here we go. All right. So for this musical category, I am going to play you a piano version of some music from a movie. So it is movie music, movie from a film, as played on a piano. So the answers are going to be the titles of films. You are going to name me the film that featured the music that you hear. Hopefully. It's always a little funny with the music, but I think last time it worked better or worked best if I held the speaker like this, and then it kind of picked up the music. So I'm going to play you, again, a piano version of a film song. You're going to name the film. That was just a little intro. Let me know if you can hear this. Oops. Sorry, this is number 2. I bopped very quickly from 1 till 2. So this is now number 2. Number 3, again, naming the films. From number 3, we're going to go to number 4. Oops. Number 4 is what this one is. Sounds very grand. All right. And number 5. Number 5. Sorry if this one is giving you feelings. Maybe not sorry. Feelings are okay. hear any of those again. So again, they are all pieces of music from films played on the piano. Number 3, 2 requests for number 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Here we go. This is number 3.
Screen time is family
Never
time.
mind. This is a Ritz Cracker commercial. But after that, it's going to be number 1. Okay, here we go. Number 1. And number 2. Number 2. Number 4. Number 4. And number 5, the final one. Alrighty. So that was the musical round. Thank you for joining me for that. Again, name the movies, and we'll see how you do. Next section is the squirrels section, because January 21st is Squirrel Appreciation Day. Yes, have you appreciated a squirrel today? I mean, they're few and far between in Lethbridge. They're kind of hard to find. Apparently, we do have some, but I have a feeling they're tucked away for the cold weather. So I don't know that you will be able to, or were able to appreciate a squirrel in the wild today. But in any case, 5 squirrel themed questions. Squirrel question number 1. What is the name of the anthropomorphic squirrel who wears a diving suit and is friends with SpongeBob SquarePants? What is the name of the anthropomorphic squirrel who wears a diving suit to be friends with SpongeBob SquarePants? Name that squirrel. All right. Squirrel question number 2 is a historical squirrel question. Very, very profound squirrel question. When Lewis and Clark encountered this Great Plains rodent, they called it a barking squirrel. What is the barking squirrel now known as? So back when Lewis and Clark first saw one of these Great Plains rodents, they decided to call it a barking squirrel. What is it now known as? What is the name of this animal nowadays? All right, on to squirrel question number 3. In Norse mythology, what is the name of the squirrel that scurries up and down Yggdrasil? The world tree. What is the name of that very important Norse squirrel? So in Norse mythology, what is the name of the squirrel that scurries up and down the world tree? Someday I'll learn how to pronounce Norse. Really, I will. At least, for mythology questions. All right, on to another squirrel question number 4. Beatrix Potter, fan of, cute little animals and mushrooms. She drew a lot of mushrooms. Beatrix Potter wrote a tale about a tale, and this tale belonged to a little red squirrel, and his name was what? The author and illustrator Beatrix Potter wrote a tale about a tale, and that tale belonged to a little red squirrel whose name was what? What was the name of Beatrix Potter's little red squirrel? And finally, question number 5 for squirrels is kind of a squirrel adjacent question. What were the names of Rocky and Bullwinkle's nemesis in the classic cartoons? What were the names of, so this is a 2-part answer. What were the names of Rocky and Bullwinkle's nemesis in the classic cartoons? Who are the bad guys in the Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons? Since I don't usually do 2-part answers for this, I will do classic pub quiz rules. So 2 points, 2-part answer, 2 points for this one. So if you can get 1, it's 1 point. If you can get 2, 2 points. 1 point per name for that one. All right, any squirrel redos? Which squirrel questions do you need to hear again? I didn't do a question about my favorite squirrel, which, is Squirrel Girl and Tippy Toe. Tippy Toe's cool. Pink bow. Very cool. Number 3 for squirrels. In Norse mythology, what is the name of the squirrel that scurries up and down Yggdrasil, the world tree? And I'm 95% sure I'm saying that wrong. But there's a squirrel that goes up and down the world tree in Norse mythology. What is the name of that squirrel? Any other squirrel redos? Toss a number in the chat if you would like to hear a squirrel question again. And I'm sure the squirrels won't mind if you appreciate them on other days of the year, even though today, Squirrel Appreciation Day. I think it was also National Hugging Day, but I probably don't hug squirrels. I don't think they would like it. Yeah. Okay, on to the last section of questions for tonight, the general knowledge section, as always. So general knowledge question number 1. If you have cryophobia, what are you afraid of? CRYO phobia. If you have cryophobia, what are you afraid of? And on to general knowledge question number 2, which is our obligatory sports question for tonight. How many horses are on each team in a polo match? So how many horses are on each team in a polo match? So on the field in a polo match, how many horses on a team? Because I know we're all, Southern Alberta, big polo playing area. The sports questions are very, very rarely popular sports. It's more fun that way for me. All right, number 3 for general knowledge now. Gillian Anderson plays a therapist in which hit Netflix show? Gillian Anderson plays a therapist in which hit Netflix show? Number 4 is a beverage question. And again, when we play at the Owl, I tell you that perhaps tipping your bartender might get you a hint. But no bartenders, so no hints. Number 4, a screwdriver cocktail is made of orange juice, ice, and which spirit? A screwdriver cocktail is orange juice with ice and what type of alcohol? And finally, number 5, a geography/linguistics question. What do the French call the English Channel? So in France, or in the French language, what is the English Channel known as? What is the name for that body of water between England and France? What is that called? And let me know for repeats on the general knowledge category. Alternatively, if you are satisfied with your answers and ready to go, hit the submit button at the bottom of your form, send your answers on over to the spreadsheet, and we'll be off to the races. Or finish the race, basically, because the questions are done. Any repeats for general knowledge before I run away to do some spreadsheet math? I think we're probably good. If you've enjoyed the Wise Owls pub quiz, this will be happening every month. The 3rd Thursday of every month is always Wise Owls Night. So here on YouTube until such time as we can be safely together again at the Owl Acoustic Lounge. And otherwise, if you are trivially inclined on other Thursday nights, not 3rd Thursdays, but the other Thursdays at 9 o'clock on Instagram. We're at Lethlib on Instagram as well. That is where you can find mini trivia, which is a shorter, sillier, less formalized version of a trivia event. So since there look like there aren't any, it looks like there are not any questions or questions that need repeating for the general knowledge category, I'm going to disappear, do some math, and then come back with final scores and answers. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, here we go. I've done some math, but first I have some answers. So the music category, tricksy one. So the first was from Rocky. Number 2, Shrek. Number 3, The Rocketeer. Number 4, E.T. And number 5, An American Tail. I didn't talk points for T-A-L-E instead of T-A-I-E or I-L, obviously, but it's tail like the tail of the mouse. For, future reference. Important fact. On to some squirrel answers now. The anthropomorphic squirrel is Sandy Cheeks. Number 2, the barking squirrel is now a black-tailed prairie dog. I gave points for prairie dog. Number 3, the squirrel from Norse mythology is Ratatoskr. And number 4 is squirrel Nutkin. Nutkin is the name of that little squirrel. And number 5, Rocky and Bullwinkle's nemesis are Boris and Natasha. Okay, and finally, general knowledge. Cryophobia is the fear of ice or the cold. There are 4 horses on each polo team. Number 3, Gillian Anderson plays a therapist on Sex Education, a delightful show. Number 4, a screwdriver is orange juice, ice, and vodka. And number 5, the French call that body of water La Manche. So those are your answers for the third and final section of tonight's quiz, which means it's time for scores. So let me figure out rankings. Okay, so bottom to top, we have 13 points to the Pinkwits, 14 points to Miller Time, 18 points to No Name, 19 points to War of the Quizzers, 24 points to Nerds of a Feather. In third place with 25, we have the Barley Mowats. In second place with 27 points, we have You're a Quizzard Harry. And in first place for the January 2021 Wise Owls Pub Quiz Virtual Edition, we have the COVID survivors with 33 points. So thank you all for joining me tonight. Round of applause for all of you and your scores. Very, very proud. I believe we will be back here next month, the third Thursday of February. Be prepared for, some romance and smoochies type questions, because February, that's kind of how we roll. So we'll be back here. And like I said earlier, if you like trivia and you need something further to do on regular Thursday nights that are not Wise Owls Pub Quizzes are mini trivia nights over on Instagram. You do have to have an Instagram account to be able to view and take part because it's if you want to do it live, anyhow, you have to have an account because it's an Instagram live thing. However, after the fact, the videos do go up on our, stream or whatever on Instagram. So you can watch them after the fact. Same with this one, if you enjoyed it and want to watch it again, or if you know somebody who wasn't able to make it tonight, but still want to play along, they could probably do that. This video will be up on our YouTube channel for the foreseeable future. So thank you for playing along, and I will see you again soon. Don't forget to check out those couple of programs on the Lethbridge Public Library website. Lethlib.ca is where you can get tickets. All of our programming is free right now, but for a lot of it, you do need to sign up for an online ticket just so you can get the Zoom link to attend the virtual programming. So on February 27th, there is the YQL Meets with the Sill in the Soil, learn about how to take care of your plants. And on February 2nd is Emily Victoria's launch of her YA novel. Again, you can go to lethlib.ca for all of the information about those and to get your tickets so you can take part. See you all soon and have a great weekend. Bye.